Hello survivors, and welcome back to yet another day in Frost. With our primary goal of getting some food and water stockpiled, some medication, and most importantly, some power armor and training for that power armor, it's time to focus on some of our tertiary goals. Those being going south and getting more fusion cores, because we will still burn through fusion cores very quickly, and also looking for some survival guide books and other books around the wasteland. Knowledge in Frost is not given freely, it must be earned, so we head down towards Sunshine Tidings Co-op to pick up a survival guide book down there that gives us a chance for double meat on anything that we kill that's an animal that can be harvested for meat. So that's going to quickly accumulate lots of deer venison and such for us, which is great. It gives us carry weight, other food as well. Food can be just as useful for sanity as alcohol because many of it does give a sanity boost, and when you can, you want to use food that does not give sanity to satiate your character's hunger, and then focus on just chowing down on the sanity stuff, things like pre-war food, whenever you want to restore sanity. One of our first stops here is to go over to Wicked Shipping Fleet Lockup. There's a magazine here as well as some other goodies laying around. We'll also want to have the Wicked Shipping Fleet key so we can get into various Wicked Shipping containers throughout the wasteland. There are several, one of which in Boston has a Stealth Boy and some Radaway, maybe some explosives as well. Another one has some other goodies in it just south of here, so we'll definitely want to get that. One of the changes in the most recent version of Frost is that whenever you block an attack, you now go through some action points, and this is, I guess, kind of to simulate real combat. You would obviously be winded after being in melee combat for a while. The issue with using action points in any regard, is why I don't sprint as well, is that it burns through your fusion core much more quickly than normal. If we just walk around and use regular melee swings, it's not a big deal, but if we're blocking, which uses up some action points, we lose a lot of our fusion core to that. So the name of the game here is to stay in power armor as long as we can, which is going to be forever pretty much. So it's actually a bit more economical for me to allow ghouls, for the most part, to hit me. I'll have to judge the ghoul and look at him and think what level he is and how strong he's going to be. Like, obviously a giant, bloated, glowing one, we don't want to tank hits from that if we don't have to. But the lesser ghouls, it's probably better to just tank the hits in the power armor as opposed to blocking with a melee weapon, because the damage we take is negligible, and we're more concerned about conserving our fusion cores than we are with conserving our power armor pieces or our health right now. If we follow the power lines further south, we'll find Gorski's cabin. This has been overrun by ghouls, and unfortunately, the interior has been sealed by a master lock, so we're not getting in there anytime soon, but at the very least, we can take out the ghouls and get some experience up here. Plus, there's some alcohol laying around up here, and we never say no to free booze. I invest this level into armor, thinking that I'll be able to repair my power armor and improve it later on, though I don't really make use of that for quite a while. In retrospect, I probably would have picked something else. Even Life Giver for some extra health could have been a better pick here than armor at this point, because I don't really need to repair my power armor anytime soon, and by the time I do, I'll probably find a new set, so it's not really worth it. I started this excursion pretty late in the day, so unfortunately it's getting to be nighttime already. I need to find a place to sleep. So I marked my map for about where I think Sunshine Tidings Co-op is at. We'll find the magazine we're after down there, as well as some ghouls to kill, and we'll also be just northeast of the Federal Ration stockpile, which is our next destination. There should be 2 fusion cores in there, one above ground and one below ground, plus a bunch of food, alcohol, and maybe some money too. On the way down, I stopped by Walden Pond and decided to go in. There are a couple of survivors in here. It's getting to the point where I'm about to go insane because I've lost too much sanity from killing too many regular survivors, but there should be enough alcohol in here to offset the sanity I lose by going in, so it's worth it. But I do have to be very tactical now about who I kill, because my sanity at this point is hanging by a thread. I have, I think, 14 left. If I go below 0, my character will be insane until I bring it back to above 0. Having below 0 sanity makes your character extremely inaccurate with guns to the point where it's almost not worth using guns at all. While melee is great for ghouls and conserving ammunition, and even for some survivors it's fine too, it's not great for taking down things like turrets, and I'm going to be going up against some turrets down in the Federal Ration stockpile, so I do want to retain some sanity if possible.
So this guy made sure he had everything he needed before he started his camping trip in that little shack up top. Double-checked his list and everything. And that's why they call it being the row. Transdentalism, moron. You sound like an idiot.
Ran into a bit of a bug here with the audio. You can hear that there's like a sort of a glitched water sound going on the entire time. I don't know what it is, but whenever you enter into an interior cell from the exterior, whenever you're going through like a pipe, this always seems to happen. I'm not sure why, and it doesn't go away until you totally close the game. Not just reload your save, but totally close the game and reopen it. Not sure if it's just my mod setup or if there's something wrong with Fallout 4 in general or one of the mods I have, but yeah, this is a problem.
What the?
This is gonna be fun! Think you can hide?
Some pretty decent loot in here. We find a bolt-action sniper rifle, the pipe rifle variant, but it does shoot 308 ammo, which is great. It means we can save up our 308. Eventually, you can make a 308 receiver for the combat rifle, which makes it even more powerful, and I'll want to save up my 308 ammo for that. Of course, the legendary Big Jim pipe wrench is in here, but it's kind of garbage, so don't recommend. After we finish up looting, we exit through the front door of the gift shop and be very, very careful because there are some bombs around. But after we're done with that, we head up on top of the roof, pick up a few things up there, and then be on our way after reloading to get rid of this audio bug. Over at Sunshine Tidings, we do find some nice beds, as well as a bunch of ghouls. We take those out, get our magazine, loot the place, and sleep for the night. Worth noting that there is some interesting lore that's central to the Frost story and one of the main figures in Frost, which is Janus, which we'll meet and see a lot of later on. Because of the extreme difficulty of Frost, a lot of people don't realize that Frost does in fact have a story, and there is sort of a quest line you can follow that takes you through a bunch of stuff, and we'll be going through that at least to some degree in here. I'm not sure if I'll do the entire thing. We'll see.
Hell yeah.
After a good night's sleep, it's back on the road again, down to our next destination, which is Federal Ration Stockpile. The front entrance to Federal Ration Stockpile is heavily guarded by survivors, so we won't want to go through there. We can sneak in through this lonely chapel entrance, though. There's a trapdoor we can go through that takes us down in. It's still dangerous, but we're in power armor, we should be okay. Before we go in, though, there are a couple of cows we can take out. We'll get a whole bunch of meat from those due to our newly acquired harvesting knowledge.
What the? Aw, man, come back! I was having fun.
This entrance is slightly less dangerous than the other entrance, but it's still very dangerous. That's not a high-level turret, thankfully. If it were a high-level explosive turret, I would probably just have to turn around and go the other way, but since it's a low-level turret, we can take it out, but unfortunately, between the accuracy penalty of Frost and the accuracy penalty of just being in power armor, I'm not hitting my shots on this thing, plus it's partially obscured, so decide to back up and try to lure the survivors to me. I'll take out the survivors first and then take out the turret afterwards once I'm closer and have a better angle on it.
Come on. Who's there?
Just
Okay,
give up.
keep calm. It's probably nothing. Huh. Whatever. Thought I... Oh, nah. What? Oh.
Hey, who's there?
Need to relax.
There now.
Finally, with the most recent update in Frost, turrets and other machines in general are extremely tanky, much more so than they used to be. If you want to take them out, the best way is a laser rifle, but unfortunately all I have is ballistic damage right now, so I'll have to make do with what I have. There's a second turret over here as well, but I opt to turn it off via the terminal up here instead. There are some goodies up here. This is normally Red Turret's hideout, but in Frost it's just a random survivor's den. In addition to disabling the turret, there's also some brand new lore here. I'm not sure if this was added with the most recent version of Frost or not, but I've never read it before and I found it quite interesting. It's from some Commonwealth soldiers and their commander who were holed up here in the federal ration stockpile after the bombs dropped, and their struggles against those survivors that were trying to get in from the outside. This is Captain O'Hanson of the Commonwealth Army. I've moved what's left of my force into the federal ration stockpile, but we're under heavy attack from riding locals. We were unable to hold the church, but we've managed to lock the trap door. It's only a matter of time before they attempt an assault on the main entrance. The doors should hold, and with the food here, we will be able to outlast them. Entry 2. It's been 2 weeks since my last entry. I sent a scout out through the church entrance to survey the situation. It appears that most of the rioters have succumbed to radiation poisoning. Those remaining have set up a makeshift camp around our front entrance. In their weakened state, it should be easy enough to stage a surprise attack on the group. Update pending. Entry 3. The scout that was sent above has developed some unfortunate symptoms. It seems that the radiation levels above ground are much higher than we'd expected. What baffles me now is how the rioters still managed to survive. The scout was exposed for less than an hour with a gas mask and Rad-X, and is now experiencing a rapid decline in health. Meanwhile, the camp outside our walls only continues to grow. What's their secret? Well, their secret is that they're becoming ghouls. Not feral ghouls, but just regular ghouls. Eventually they will become feral ghouls, but those that survive this long on the surface are most likely going to be ghouls. A bit further in, on a shelf back here, we find the Federal Ration Stockpile password. We'll need that to get into the main room with all the loot in it, as well as a note from Captain O'Hanson. They've broken the lock. I hear them coming. This will defend.
Something's out there. Oh, God. Oh. Need help here. Why don't you people just leave us alone? Yeah. Gone. Gotta be. Figure you won't just run, right?
What's that noise?
Although there are a lot of things I could pick at this level, there are just so many perks I want right now. I think the most important thing is going to be staying alive, obviously, for a permadeath run. And the thing that's going to kill me, if anything does at this point, is going to be an explosive. This will not prevent me from dying from something like a Fat Man or a missile, but it might prevent me from dying from something like a mine or a grenade. And I want this anyway later on because it'll prevent us from tripping mines, and that's going to be the key to surviving. I mean, Frost adds a ton of mines throughout the Commonwealth, and eventually you're going to step on one and kill yourself unless you have this perk.
No one panic.
Damn it! Where'd you go?
Here 1 second, gone the next. Who moves that fast?
A handmade rifle with a night vision scope, and I believe this also has a good magazine on it. That's a really nice find, and I'm very glad that I got this guy before he was able to blow through all of his ammo. In Frost, unlike the base game, when a survivor or any other enemy shoots at you, they use the ammo that's actually in their inventory, and if they use it all up, it's just gone. So when you go to loot them, you're not going to get anything. Inside this door in the main control room for the Federal Ration stockpile, we find what we're here for, the interior fusion core, although at the moment I've looted so much stuff that I just don't have room for it. That handmade's a big part of it. I'd like to at least take some parts off of that handmade. The gun itself is not a big deal. Handmades are fairly common, and the receiver on this one is not very good, but I do at least want to get some of the parts from it and the ammo. So for now, we're going to set this fusion core here. We'll come back for it later once we're ready to leave.
Oh no.
The alcohol that we find here will not completely account for the sandy loss to killing everyone, but it should go a long ways towards it. We also find some food and a bunch of other stuff inside the Federal Ration strong room. That should be pretty much it, so I pick up my guns and take them over to the weapons workbench that we saw in the very beginning towards that turret that we took out, and we're going to take all of our junk that we have over there and try to modify our weapons that we got here so we can take the good mods off of them and take just the mods back with us, and then we'll discard the weapon themselves because they're way too heavy. Between fusion cores weighing 10 pounds, some of these weapons weighing upwards of 20 or 30 pounds, and the extremely reduced carry weight in Frost, and us not having access to calibrated shocks for a long time, carry weight is going to be an issue, and we really can't afford to be taking back the entire weapon. Thankfully, I do find the parts I need around here to make some basic mods, which will replace the good mods. That puts the good mods in our inventory, which we can then attach to our weapons back at our main base later on. After grabbing our fusion core and sorting our inventory, it's time to head out the front and take out the remaining survivors there. I make sure I have a jet ready because this is likely going to be a pretty tough fight with multiple survivors coming at us at once, plus a turret outside as well. But again, they're just regular survivors in clothing, we're in power armor, surely we will not fail.
Shit! Lost him. Oh.
Christ.
That's really not good. This guy also has power armor, probably has about the same amount of damage reduction as I do, and he's got a baseball bat. This is really bad. He took out about 2/3 of my health in a single swing.
Damn it!
Fucking pick.
Well, once again, chems come to the rescue. Another handmade, a nice find, but unfortunately this guy used up all of his ammo. Back behind this bunker, we find our second fusion core at the Federal Ration stockpile on the surface. Just in time too, because we just used up our other one, so we got a full one in the power armor now and a full one in reserve. We also have a full one back at the base in Sanctuary. After I finish looting, I check the power armor on this survivor and find that I can wear one piece of their power armor and not go over my 350 damage resist limit. So that's a nice find. It's still not ideal, but it's better than what I had, which was about 280 with my current armor, so we'll use it. It'll probably die pretty quickly because it has low durability, but it is what it is. We'll use it until it's no good. At this point, it's getting late, but it's not quite late enough that I have to sleep for the night. I can probably make my way back up towards Sanctuary and sleep in a bed up there and drop stuff off. I don't have to necessarily sleep down here, although I could. There is a good bed here. So I decided to kind of take a easterly route and make my way back up towards Sanctuary, clearing and looting stuff along the way as I go. However, I only get a few steps away from Federal Ration stockpile when what should I find but a Deathclaw. Deathclaws in Frost have been greatly buffed. Hitting them anywhere except for their head or their stomach is going to do almost no damage. They are extremely fast, much faster than the base game, and their damage is greatly amplified. They are truly terrifying in this mod, and I want no part of tangling with one right now. The only time I'll fight a Deathclaw is if I absolutely have to, and ideally with a missile launcher that can destroy them in one hit. So I run away like a coward and make my way around it. Thankfully, it looks like we evaded the Deathclaws successfully, and after a few minutes of slow and steady walking back up north, we find ourselves at a familiar site back home in Sanctuary. Time to dump off our loot, do some crafting, sleep for the night, and find a new adventure in the morning. I take my sniper rifle and my handmade, the mods for it, and some junk down to the Red Rocket to see what I can do in terms of modifying these weapons to making them the best they possibly can be. Unfortunately, I don't really have a good receiver yet for either one. I could craft a nice receiver, and I do for the sniper rifle. However, I need gun nut rank 2 to make a decent receiver for this handmade. So that might be the next thing I focus on in terms of levels. I am able to cobble together a somewhat reasonable pipe rifle. It's really not very good, but it's kind of all I have ammo for, and that I can make a decent receiver for at the moment, so I guess we'll have to use it and rely on melee for everything else. And with that done, we finish rolling our junk and head down to Abernathy Farm to sleep for the night. Remember, we don't have a good bed at either Red Rocket or Sanctuary, and we don't really have all the workbenches either one either. The only place we can sleep at is Red Rocket. Shuttling items back and forth between locations to craft things and going down to Abernathy Farm to sleep is really inconvenient, so I'm probably going to make my way into the metro system in the next episode and try to get to downtown and make ourselves a home down there.